Welcome to the recovery series. Today's workout is perfect for those of us who want to do an active recovery day, but not necessarily take a whole day off. But this is really good for strengthening your core, strengthening your arms and your legs, and basically your whole body. We will also be adding some balance elements to today's practice, so we will be holding a pose in a balanced position. So definitely it is going to be more on the challenging side, but never impossible. As a short disclaimer to all of my videos, if at any time your body feels dizzy, you have any numbing or tingling sensations, please pause the video and take a water break, and if it feels appropriate, coming back to the workout, but if not, coming back on a later day. So without further ado, let's just get right into the video.
We will start today's practice in a comfortable seated position, closing the eyes. Again, feeling the upliftingness from your sits bones through the spine, through the back of the neck, and all the way to the crown of the head. Imagine someone is lifting you from the crown of the head, opening the heart, and breathing naturally here. Tuning into your natural cycles of breath. Again, scanning the body today and feeling and being aware of how your body feels today. Continuing to cycle through your natural cycles of breath, or perhaps coming now into Ujjayi breath. For those familiar with Ujjayi, let's go ahead and begin your cycles of Ujjayi. But for those of us who are new to Ujjayi breath, again, you can feel free to bring a palm in front of your mouth. Again, inhalation through your nose, feeling the heart and the belly rising with the breath. And exhale to press the navel in towards the spine, and again exiting the breath out through the mouth and feeling the heat and the warmth on your palm to witness this Ujjayi breath or victory breath, also known as ocean breath. Again, practicing Ujjayi, or if it feels better, coming back through your natural cycles of breath. For those of us who have tried to do the variation of the hand in front of your mouth, let's go ahead and try by closing the mouth now. And now inhalation again through the nose and deep exhalation back through the nose. If it does not feel comfortable, breathing in and out of the nose, feel free to return to inhalation through the nose and exhalation out through the mouth. And now, slowly easing off the practice of Ujjayi, we will come into a sitting flow. So on your next inhalation, bring your hands up over your head. Interlace those hands on your exhale and bend forward into a nice forward stretch for your back. Again, inhalation through the nose, open the heart, open the hands up towards the sky. Interlace the hands, exhalation, press your navel back and stretch your upper back. Beautiful. Nice deep inhale through the nose. Really feel the upliftedness of your breath and your body up towards the sky, and feeling the heat and the energy rising on the exhalation. One more time. Nice deep inhale from above. And deep exhalation from below here. And on your next inhalation, bringing your hands up towards the sky, and exhale to bring your hands back down towards your sides. Now let's go ahead and transition onto our standing flow. For our standing flow, we will begin with the feet hip distance apart, feet nicely planted onto the earth. Inhale to bring your hands overhead, and exhale, hip hinging from the waist, bending forward into forward fold. Inhale again to lift up the hands and the heart towards the sky, and exhale again back into forward fold. Inhale to feel the breath opening our heart, and exhale to feel the energy of the heat in your abdomen while bending forward into that fold. Inhale to lift your energy up towards the sky, and exhale to deeply root that energy back into your body. And here we'll stay in our standing forward fold for 4 full cycles of breath. Again, nice deep inhale from above and deep exhalation from below. Again, option to bring your hands behind your calves or setting the hands onto the floor here. Staying for 2 more cycles of breath. Again, feeling the energy of the breath surrounding your body here. Last breath here. And on your next inhalation, rising up towards the sky, lifting the arms and the heart above, and exhale to bring those hands back down towards your sides. Taking a moment for 2 cycles of breath, witnessing the small heat that we just created. And from this, we will go ahead and add a little bit more to the same flow. On your next inhalation, opening the heart, lifting the hands up, and exhale, forward fold from the waist. Inhale, look up, slightly away from your toes, and exhale to come back into forward fold. On your next inhale, stepping or hopping back into high plank, breath retention, bring your knees, chest, and chin onto the floor, and coming up into upward facing dog or cobra, pushing your palms into the floor, toes digging into the floor, hips back for downward facing dog, head and the neck is heavy. And since it's our first downward facing dog, let's go ahead and pedal out those feet, lifting up the heels one by one, shifting the body weight once to the left, then to the right, releasing the low back, the hips, and downward facing dog. We'll stay here for 2 more full cycles of breath. On your next inhalation, looking up at the palms, bending into your knees, lifting the heels up, coming back into forward fold on the exhale. Inhale to bring the hands up and over towards the sky, and exhale to bring your palms together in Namaste. Inhale to lift the heart and the hands up again, and exhale back into your standing forward fold. Inhale to look halfway up here, and exhale to come back into forward fold. On your next forward fold, bringing your palms down, either stepping or hopping back through high plank, breath retention, either knees, chest, chin on the floor, or through chaturanga and upward facing dog. And on your exhalation, shifting into downward facing dog, lifting the left foot up away from you and weaving it through. The left leg comes in between your palms, coming into a high lunge. Inhale here, weaving the right heel down into a 45-degree angle, pelvis forward in warrior 1. And on your next exhalation, coming in to the floor again in chaturanga and upward facing dog. And exhalation to bring yourself back through that downward facing dog. Now taking it on the right side. Right leg lifts up away from you, weaving it through into a high lunge. Left heel now comes into 45-degree angle, lifting the hands up, warrior 1, and bringing yourself back through the high plank, chaturanga, and upward facing dog. On your next exhalation, shifting your hips back into downward facing dog. And now in this downward facing dog, we'll stay here for 2 full cycles of breath. Again, releasing the neck, perhaps bringing your neck side to side, shaking your head yes and no if that feels comfortable, or simply just resting the neck. Last breath here. And on your next inhalation, looking up at the palms first, bending into your knees, heels up, stepping or hopping forward back into your forward fold. Exhale. Inhale again to bring your hands up, and exhale, namaste position, bringing the hands back into heart center. Inhale to open the heart and the hands up towards the sky. Exhale to come back into your forward fold. Inhale to lift halfway up, and exhale back into forward fold. Now coming back, stepping or hopping back through high plank into chaturanga, upward facing dog, and coming back in downward facing dog on your exhalation. And let's go ahead and start with the right leg. The right leg lifts up towards the sky, weaving that right leg in between your hands, coming into warrior one. Inhale to lift the hands and the heart above, and exhale to bring yourself back through the high plank into chaturanga and upward facing dog, flipping the toes here. Flipping the toes back, digging into the floor, and exhale to push back into downward facing dog. Next, the left foot will lift up, weaving the left leg in between those palms into high lunge, back into warrior one, pelvis forward, heart is lifted. And coming back, breath retention through chaturanga and upward facing dog. And on your exhalation, flipping the toes back, digging into the floor. And let's lift the hips up nice and high, elongating the spine. Neck is heavy, and palms are digging into the floor, and staying here for 2 full cycles of breath. Again, noticing that your fingers are spread apart, deeply rooted into the earth, as well as your 10 toes. Last breath here. And on your next inhalation, looking up at your fingers, bending into the knees, heels lifted, and stepping or hopping forward back into your forward fold. Exhale. And inhale, lifts up your hands and your heart towards the sky. Exhale back, palms into namaste, and slowly releasing your hands by your sides. Taking a moment to witness the heat, how your body feels after the standing flow. And we will slowly now transition into our first posture, chair. For chair, bringing your feet together, big toes touching, knees zipped in through the midline. Inhale, lifting the arms, biceps towards the ears, shifting your hips back. And exhale to bring the hands back down towards your sides. Again, inhale to lift the heart and perhaps a gaze up with the hands. And exhale back into standing. We take 2 more dynamic practices here. Inhale to come back into chair. And exhale to release chair for just a moment. Inhale back into chair. And exhale back through the standing. And on your next inhalation, staying in static practice. For arm variation today, you can either keep it up and over your head, or you can simply bring your hands behind your back if that feels more comfortable. Or you can also come into a twist today. If coming into a twist, let's go ahead and twist to the right first, hooking the left elbow onto the right knee and twisting from the abdomen, and your back should feel like a beautiful twist. Abdomen is engaged and hips are sinking behind you. If staying in a twist, staying in one side for 2 cycles of breath, and then switching sides. If you are not in a twist, simply just staying in chair for the whole duration of this time. Last breath here. And on your next inhalation, slowly coming out of chair, lifting the hands up, and exhale to bring the hands back down toward your sides. Coming into your natural cycles of breath, we'll stay here for one full cycle of breath. And now we will slowly transition onto our balance postures. We will come into the center of the mat now, and we will start with the right foot. Shifting your weight into the foot that's on the floor, the left side. We'll bring the right knee to bend, hooking the right index and the middle finger to that big toe, and bringing your left arm into a T, perhaps in a mudra. Now coming into your dynamic version, we'll bring the exhalation, bringing the leg out away from the midline, and inhale to bring the leg back through the center. Again, option or variation here is to keep the knee bent. On the exhale, bring it out, and inhale back into the midline. So seeing which variation is best for you, we'll continue to do 2 more dynamic practices here. If you are in the full variation, for the heel, make sure that you're kicking the heel out and away from you so that you're able to lift the foot up and elongate the leg. And we will stay for 2 full cycles of breath for static practice today. And on your next exhalation, releasing the hand, binding with either the big toe or the knee, and setting it back down to the floor. Now we'll go ahead and switch to the left leg. Now shifting your weight into the right foot, binding either with the big toe or the knee. Exhale to bring the leg out away from the midline, and inhale back through the center. If you like to bring the opposite hand into a mudra, bringing your big thumb and your index finger to bind. And we will continue to perform 2 more dynamic practices at your own pace. And on your next exhalation, staying in static practice for 2 full cycles of breath. If balance is a little bit difficult today, you can always feel free to look at one point in the room and just stare at that one point in the room, and that usually helps to stabilize the body as well as squeezing the core and squeezing the glutes. Last breath here. And on your next inhalation, bringing the knee back through the center, and on the exhalation, releasing the foot back down to the floor. Now let's go ahead and release the heels off the floor, perhaps circling the legs, whatever feels the best for your feet, releasing any tensions that you may have had in this posture. Moving on to tree pose next. Let's go ahead and shift your body weight onto your left foot. We will start by bringing the right knee to bend. Grab a hold of the leg with the right hand. And again, foot placement here can either be toes on the floor, toes on the shin, or toes in your inner thighs. Whichever variation is the best for you today, let's go ahead and take that variation for the legs. Once you feel grounded into that left foot, let's go ahead and bring the hands into Namaste. Exhale here. And on your inhale, lengthen the fingertips, heart raises up towards the sky, and exhale to bring the hands back into Namaste. Inhale to lengthen the spine, the crown of the head is nice and long, heart is lifting, and exhale to bring the hands back into heart center. Inhale to grab the energy of the earth around us, and exhale to bring it back into your heart center. Last time in dynamic, inhale to really lengthen those fingertips up and above to the sky, and exhale to bring your hands back into heart center. On your next inhalation, we'll go ahead and hold in static practice, and we will stay in static practice for 4 full cycles of breath. Like the trunk of a tree, the left leg should feel nice and deeply rooted into the floor. All 5 of your toes are connected deeply and spread apart, and feeling that energy of the legs radiating through the core, through the lats and the arms, and all the way up towards your fingertips. The crown of the head is nice and lengthened, with the spine rising up towards the sky. Last breath here. And on your next exhalation, bringing your hands back into Namaste in the heart center, and slowly releasing that right leg and back into the floor. Now let's go ahead and shift your body weight onto your right foot, and we'll go ahead and lift the left foot, bending in. Again, finding the right variation for your practice today. And whenever you feel ready, bringing the hands back through Namaste. Exhale here. Inhale to lift up the heart. Fingertips are nice and lengthened to the sky. And exhale again back through Namaste, heart center. We'll do this 3 more times in dynamic practice at your own pace. Last time in dynamic practice. And on your next inhalation, staying in static practice for 4 full cycles of breath. Last breath here. And on your next exhalation, bringing the hands back through Namaste, slowly releasing that leg. And let's go ahead and lift the heels off the floor, pedaling out the feet, perhaps circling those ankles to release the tension that you may have had in tree today. And we will go ahead and slowly prepare for our next posture called standing forward fold. Starting at the top of your mat, we'll go ahead and bring the right foot behind you and coming into a wide stance in the center of the mat, bringing the heels in a 45-degree angle so that the toes slightly come inward. From here, inhale to lengthen the arms, heart is lifted, and on the exhale, forward fold, hip hinge from the waist, and release the neck and the head here. Inhale again brings us through dynamic, lifting the heart, and exhale, perhaps now bringing the palms to touch onto the floor and the elbows back. Inhale to rise up, to really lengthen the spine, and exhale to come back through the forward fold. Continuing on in dynamic practice for 2 more times at your own pace. And on your next exhalation, coming into the full version of standing forward fold. Actively breathing nice deep inhales from above and deep exhalation from below. Again, releasing the head and the neck and letting your body melt towards the floor, allowing gravity to do its job here. Last breath here. And on the next inhalation, slowly rising up, heart and hands lift up towards the sky. And on the exhale, slowly closing the feet stance, closing the arms, and coming back to the top of the mat. We will now slowly transition onto the floor, and we will come back through chair in the transition inhale to lengthen the arms, hips are back. And on the exhale, lifting the heels up, keeping your knees, your ankles together, and slowly coming down and trying to sit down, transitioning onto our next posture called boat. On your inhalation, recline back with the legs extended in front of you, and on the exhalation, bringing everything back towards the midline. Inhale again to recline backwards to get the abdomen engaged, and exhale to bring yourself back upright. And last time here before we come into static practice. And on your next inhalation, staying in static practice for 2 full cycles of breath. You can feel free to keep the hands, palms lifted upwards towards the sky, or if necessary, you can go ahead and grab a hold of the back of the hamstrings. And on your next exhalation, reclining back all the way to come into our bridge posture. For bridge, we will start by bringing the heels in towards your sits bones, making sure your knees are bent here and the low back is nice and connected to the earth. On your next inhalation, rising up by lifting your hips off the floor while your arms come over your head, and exhale to bring the hands and hips back down to the earth. Inhale again to rise up, the heart and the hands and the hips together, and exhale to slowly vertebrae by vertebrae coming back down to the earth. Repeating in dynamic for 2 more cycles of breath. And on your next inhalation, staying in static practice for 4 full cycles of breath. Today we do have a variation. If you'd like to stay in bridge, feel free to continue doing so. If you'd like to get a little bit deeper, I would advise lifting the heels off the floor and coming into an extended bridge, or the other option is to come into wheel pose. If taking the variation of wheel, pressing your palms firmly down into the floor, fingers are facing towards you. Now bearing most of the weight into the heels, pressing firmly into your toes and your palms at the same time. Inhale here, and then on your next exhale, press up firmly off of the floor, relaxing the head and the neck. If you feel like you can give a little bit more space, lifting the heels up here. Holding this pose for 2 full cycles of static practice. Last breath here. And on your next exhalation, slowly coming out of wheel or bridge, whichever posture you were in today. Slowly vertebrae by vertebrae coming down and slowly releasing your hands and your hips down back onto the earth here. Taking a few moments of breath here, just resettling and just connecting your low back to the earth again. If the low back feels any kind of tension, then keep your feet on the floor and your knees bent here. If the low back feels good here, slowly extending the legs outward and letting the toes fall out naturally. We'll take one more full cycle of breath here before transitioning to some of our last few postures. And on your next inhalation, slowly coming out from the reclined pose and coming into now your belly. The next posture is locust. I will be performing traditional locust. Lying with your face down and your forehead or the chin, if it feels comfortable, on the mat, creating fists to place underneath your body. And for this position, making sure that you're not on the bone of your hips, but you're in the insides of your pelvis. From here, you take a nice exhalation to lift the legs up at the same time, or if you like, you can bring one leg up and then alternating the legs here. At your own pace, we'll take 3 more dynamic practices here. And on your next exhalation, rising up and holding in static practice. Again, keeping your head really nice and light, making sure that you're not carrying a lot of the tension on your neck. If you feel like the chin on the floor, if you have that currently, is a little bit straining on the neck, feel free to bring your head down and the forehead down onto the mat. Last breath here. And on your next inhalation, slowly bringing your legs back down to the mat and unweaving your hands from underneath your body, and we'll shift onto the right side, creating pillows with your palms and bringing the right knee to bend to release the low back. We'll stay here for a couple cycles of breath to just settle back into our natural cycles of breath. And slowly shifting now onto the left side. On your next inhalation, slowly coming out from the floor, and we'll go ahead and slowly come back onto our back. Our last pose for fish will start with the hands coming underneath your sits bones. The knees and the toes are going to be close together. From here, flexing the feet on your exhalation. Inhale to point the feet and lifting onto your elbows and bringing your head to look behind you. Again, keeping the crown of the head nice and light, bearing most of the weight into your elbows. exhale again to bring yourself out of fish for a brief moment, flexing the feet. And inhale to come into fish, pointing the feet. Now coming into 2 more dynamic practices here. And on your next inhalation, lifting your heart nice and high up towards the sky and opening the throat chakra here in static practice. Last breath here. And on your next exhalation, bringing yourself out of fish by slowly bringing your head again back into neutral, unweaving the hands from underneath your sits bones. And let's slowly open the toes out towards the sides, naturally keeping the legs falling outwards and palms facing up towards the sky. And now surrendering into our last and final pose, Shavasana. In Shavasana today, keeping your body nice and heavy, releasing any other tensions that you may have carried throughout this practice or throughout your day, and just releasing everything here into Shavasana. Surrendering your body, surrendering your mind, surrendering your heart into the beautiful world around us. Allowing your body to let go and to only welcome the positive energy and the good things in our lives and the light that shines back into your heart. And now slowly bringing awareness back into the room, back into your body, and slowly waking up the body by perhaps rolling those ankles, moving your hands, wiggling your toes and your fingers, perhaps moving your head side to side if that feels comfortable, perhaps giving yourself a nice big hug, or anything else that you might need at this time, before slowly transitioning onto your right side. Slowly transitioning out of the floor and slowly making your way up into a nice, comfortable seated position, keeping the eyes closed, and now scanning the body and seeing how your body feels in comparison to when you have started today's practice. Not judging any of the sensations, but simply just being aware of the sensations. Slowly bringing your hands into Namaste, bringing the light of the earth around us and into your heart. We close today's practice with Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, which means peace to all living things and mostly to you. Thank you for your practice. Namaste.